There are faster cars. There are more expensive cars. And there are certainly cars that demand far more attention. But for more than a century, one winged badge has quietly appeared wherever wealth, influence, and power seem to gather. Bentley. Behind its doors are hand-finished leather, polished wood, and craftsmanship measured not simply in minutes, but in hours. Its cars have carried royalty. They have become symbols of success for business leaders, celebrities, and some of the world's wealthiest people. But Bentley wasn't born to quietly transport the powerful. It was born to race. Its earliest legends weren't created outside luxury hotels or private estates. They were created at speed on some of Europe's most demanding racetracks. So, how did a British racing machine transform into one of the world's most recognizable symbols of wealth and power? To understand that, we have to return to 1919, to one engineer, and an obsession with building a better motor car. His name was W.O. Bentley. W.O. Bentley wasn't interested in building the most luxurious car in Britain. He wanted to build something better. Something faster, something engineered to survive punishment that would destroy lesser machines. After founding Bentley Motors in 1919, his philosophy was remarkably simple. Build a fast car, a good car, the best in its class. And almost immediately, Bentley found the perfect place to prove it: the racetrack. During the 1920s, a remarkable group began forming around the company. They became known as the Bentley Boys. They were racers, adventurers, businessmen, and wealthy enthusiasts who lived with the same intensity that they drove. They had money, they had confidence, and they were willing to push Bentley's machines to their limits. Nowhere was that more visible than at Le Mans. In an era when endurance racing could destroy both cars and drivers, Bentley built its reputation by surviving and winning again and again. Between 1924 and 1930, Bentley took 5 victories at Le Mans. Suddenly, the winged bee represented something unusual. It wasn't luxury in the traditional sense. It was expensive, certainly, but it was also dangerous, competitive, almost rebellious. And the Bentley Boys gave the brand something advertising could never manufacture: a mythology. Bentley became associated with people who didn't simply have money. They had the freedom to race with it. But behind the victories, the champagne, and the glamorous lifestyle, there was a problem. Building some of Britain's most extraordinary automobiles was expensive. Very expensive. Then came the crash. The global economic crisis that followed 1929 devastated luxury businesses across Europe, and Bentley was particularly vulnerable. Racing had built the legend. But legends were expensive to maintain. By 1931, Bentley could no longer survive independently. The company was sold, and its new owner was perhaps the most important luxury automobile name in Britain: Rolls-Royce. For Bentley, everything changed. The wild energy of the Bentley Boys began to fade. The company that had built its reputation fighting for victories at Le Mans was now part of an organization famous for something very different: silence, refinement, effortless luxury. For some enthusiasts, Bentley had lost part of its rebellious soul. But something else was happening. Bentley was entering deeper into the world of Britain's elite. Its cars became increasingly associated not simply with racing drivers, but with aristocrats, industrialists, and people whose status didn't need to be announced. And that distinction mattered, because Bentley was slowly developing an identity that separated it from both traditional luxury cars and pure sports cars. A Rolls-Royce was designed to make being driven feel extraordinary. A Bentley increasingly offered something different. Luxury for the person who still wanted to drive. Performance remained part of its character, but now it was wrapped in leather, wood, and restraint. For decades, however, Bentley struggled to escape the enormous shadow of Rolls-Royce. The cars were elegant, powerful, beautifully made. But the identity that had once made Bentley rebellious was becoming harder to see. Then, in 1998, everything changed again. The Volkswagen Group took control of Bentley and began investing heavily in the company, its factory and crew, and its future. But simply making Bentley more modern wasn't enough. The brand needed something that could reconnect the two worlds that had defined it from the beginning: performance and luxury. That car arrived in 2003, the Continental GT. It was fast enough to remind people that Bentley had been born from motorsport, luxurious enough to carry more than 80 years of British craftsmanship. And importantly, it introduced Bentley to an entirely new generation. This was no longer a car associated only with old British aristocracy. Bentley began appearing outside luxury hotels in London, on the streets of Beverly Hills, in Monaco, Dubai, and wherever a new generation of wealth was being created. Athletes drove them. Musicians drove them. Entrepreneurs and celebrities drove them. Bentley had found a new cultural position. A Ferrari announced performance. A Rolls-Royce announced ultimate luxury. But a Bentley could communicate both. You could arrive in extraordinary comfort and still be sitting behind the wheel. That combination became one of Bentley's greatest strengths. The Continental GT was followed by new generations of the Flying Spur. Then came the Bentayga, bringing the Bentley formula into the luxury SUV era. Bentley was no longer simply preserving an old British name. It had transformed itself into a global symbol of success. But selling expensive cars alone doesn't explain why Bentley carries the status it does. Because beneath the badge, there is something mass production still struggles to reproduce: time. Walk through Bentley's factory and crew, and the idea of luxury begins to look very different. Here, value isn't measured only by horsepower. It's measured in time. Time spent selecting materials. Time spent stitching leather. Time spent shaping, finishing, and polishing pieces that most drivers may never consciously notice. A Bentley is still built using modern technology. But some of the details that define the experience remain deeply human. Wood veneers are carefully prepared and finished. Leather is cut and stitched with extraordinary attention. Metal surfaces are polished until something manufactured begins to feel almost personal. And for customers who want something even more exclusive, there is Mulliner. Bentley's coach building division takes the idea of personalization far beyond choosing a color or a set of wheels. Materials, finishes, colors, embroidery, unique details, even extremely limited or individually commissioned cars. At this level, the vehicle stops being simply a product selected from a catalog. It becomes an expression of the person ordering it. And perhaps no Bentley demonstrates the connection between the brand and power more clearly than the Bentley State Limousine. In 2002, Bentley created 2 State Limousines for Queen Elizabeth II to mark her Golden Jubilee. It was an extraordinary commission. A British luxury marque that had once built its reputation racing through the night at Le Mans was now building a state vehicle for the British monarch. That single image tells almost the entire Bentley story. From racing drivers to royalty, from speed to status. So how did Bentley become the car of the powerful? It wasn't one moment. And it wasn't simply because Bentley became expensive. W.O. Bentley gave the company its engineering ambition. The Bentley Boys gave it a legend. Le Mans gave it credibility. Rolls-Royce brought it deeper into a world of refinement and privilege. And decades later, cars like the Continental GT introduced that identity to a new generation of global wealth. But through every transformation, one idea survived. A Bentley was never meant to represent luxury alone. It represented luxury with performance, craftsmanship without fragility, status without surrendering the driver's seat. That is why Bentley occupies such an unusual place in the automotive world. There are cars that are louder, cars that are faster, and cars that cost considerably more. But Bentley has spent more than a century building something that can't be measured on a specification sheet. Presence. The kind that doesn't need explanation. From the Bentley Boys racing through the night at Le Mans, to a State Limousine built for a queen, to Continental GTs and flying Spurs arriving outside some of the world's most exclusive places. The surroundings changed. The people changed. The definition of wealth changed. But the winged bee remained. Perhaps that is Bentley's real achievement. It didn't simply learn how to build cars for powerful people. It learned how to make power feel effortless. And after more than a century, Bentley still doesn't need to shout. It simply arrives